So as you probably know by now, we're in a 911 GT3 RS 991.2, so the latest model currently available. And this is kind of a very special experience for all three of us, because this is a car we've kind of always idolized growing up. We've always looked to, we've always wanted to own it, or even just experience it and drive it, and that day's finally come. We've met in the Natal Midlands. We've got a beautiful day, amazing roads and some lovely scenery. But we actually decided, and I decided when the car arrived 2 days ago, I don't want to drive it until the cameras are on. I actually just want to put the camera on so you can see my experience firsthand, not fabricated, not fake. I haven't gone under 1,000 Ks in the car. This is literally the first time I'm going to put on the seatbelt and start the engine. The GT4 is an amazing vehicle, and it is. And I always looked at the GT3 RS as this big, scary monster that wants to kill you. But straight away, it doesn't feel like that at all. It's... oh my word. tell you a little bit about the car while we're doing reasonable speeds. So, as you know, 4 litre, naturally aspirated flat 6, 500 horsepower, 370 kilowatts, 373 kilowatts, 460 newton meters of torque. But what is so similar to the GT4 is none of that matters because, yeah, 500 horsepower is a lot of power. But it's not mind-altering. We drive a lot of cars with that kind of power, but it's just the pure visual experience of how this car is set up. Oh, listen to that noise, how it revs to 9,000 RPM, and everyone says, yeah, it revs to 9,000 RPM, yeah. You don't even know what that is until you actually experience it. You don't know what 9,000 RPM feels like. The power that comes in is absolutely ferocious during that higher RPM range, but it doesn't feel like it wants to kill you. I was going into corners there, having been in this car for 1 minute, turning in, applying the power. There's so much grip that you are fully confident in what the car can do. You lean on the outside tires, you lean on that grip, and you feed the power out to that rev range. Like only after 6,000 RPM does the power come in, but that's only where you stay. I don't think I'd drop below 6,000 RPM. And if you're driving a normal car, you think that sounds crazy. It's just absolutely unbelievable. Now, yes, it's the same power as the 991, and this is the newer model. The difference is they've put in a bigger, stronger crankshaft. They've drilled it for better oil flow, and they've put in new pistons and new rings and a stronger bore, and the bore of the cylinder's got a slippier material. And all that does is increase efficiency and reduce resistance. And that is why this car can rev to 9,000 RPM, because they've built the engine in a way that there's minimal resistance, and it just allows you to rev freely and reduce lag, and the power is just so smooth. And I think that's all I need to say, because now we're just gonna go driving.
Get your thoughts together, and I will get my thoughts together. So what I was saying is that I've never driven a car that has so much grip, and it makes no sense. This car makes no sense. The engine, normally in a sports car, an engine sits in the middle here so that the weight is evenly distributed. No, not in a Porsche. Porsche have always done this. The engine is sitting right at the back, but you never feel that the back is going to overtake the car. You come into corners at speeds that you should not be able to do in a road car, but it just sticks. It just sticks. And my biggest problem is when it lets go, I don't want to find out how big it is when it lets go. But just the suspension and the way that it feels is unbelievable. I've never driven it, and look, we've driven plenty of cars, but none of them feel accessible like this car do. We've driven many sports cars, but there's a reason why many people use cars like this on a day-to-day basis, because you can. Right, the car was in auto there. Because you can. It just gives you that flexibility that, yes, this is a hard car, but it's not that terrible. It just, and what it does, when you've got that rear wing is not a picnic table like what Cisco and Sam used to put McDonald's on. It actually works, because you go through corners like this where you think, I should not be able to go through a corner like this, but it sticks. And I don't understand the full mechanics of this, but all I know is that you have to be doing something completely stupid to get this rear to unstick. And sorry, I'm just losing thoughts, because every single time I go near the loud pedal on the corner, oh, what a car. Do you know, we've been thinking, okay, I'm going side, but I just want to say one thing, is that we've been saying, what is the best car in this total nonsense, rubbish-filled year? And it's been this car. This has been the highlight of this nonsense year, because you're able to just remind yourself what normal life looks like, and also what a car like this feels like. I'm in awe. That's all I have to say. This is a near perfect car. Yes, you can only take 2 people, but I haven't driven a better car. And Richard, as a child, I've been driving it in the week. I've gone to the shops. I've found any excuse to drive this car. And that is what sports car ownership is about. You want to find those reasons. It's about smiles. It's about emotion. And when I tell you that this car has got so much emotion behind it, you know, you can get Lamborghinis for the price of this car. You can get Ferraris for the price of this car. But I've driven both Lamborghinis and Ferraris, and I can tell you that they don't feel like this. This car feels like it's a part of me. And it's amazing because you would think a car with these kind of stats would be scary to drive. And yes, if you disrespect this car, it will take you out. But if you just have a nice conversation with it and you say, listen buddy, I'm trusting you, show me a good time, you literally get to have one of the most visceral driving experiences out there. Guys, when I say that this is the best car I have ever driven in my entire life, this is honestly the best car I've driven in my entire life. One thing that adds to why this car is so good. I kept quiet there just so you can hear the revs. But one thing that makes this car so exciting is this engine noise. I mean, listen to this thing, guys. 9,000 RPM. That's the red line. Listen to this. absolute privilege